All right, we are streaming live right here with the Huddle Review. It is almost 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and looking forward to a decent show today. I'm going to give a little bit of time while we kind of get things going here in the studio, let some people bounce in, and we'll get everything on track because we have a lot to talk about. We want to have been some developments. We also want to talk about a little bit about the Ripple Swell Conference. I'm going to open it up to people as they bounce in, see what everybody wants to talk about, get some feedback. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about email fraud. That's right, email fraud. And so that is definitely going to be a topic of today. OTC. First, let me start this out. Who's down with OTC? Let's see who we've got bouncing in already. We've got Zbits. We've got Steven Ship. We've got Ferdy. Awesome. Love to see you guys bouncing in here. Looking forward to talking to you later, Ferdy. So make sure you send over a WhatsApp. This is great. Talking through YouTube and having a chat. Shoot over through WhatsApp what time. So, all right. We're going to have some people bounce in here. And it's going to be an exciting conversation because you know what? When we talk about stuff here with a Huddle Review, we get things. We want to cover the intrigue. We want to keep things up front. We want to keep things honest, above board, and we only talk about fact. We don't delve into hype. We don't delve into anything like that. So hopefully everything is coming through clear. I'm seeing a few dropped frames through OBS, and hopefully that all gets sorted out. But anyhow, I'm looking forward to having a conversation. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to having the conversation because it's all getting ready to start right here on the chain with the Huddle Review. All right, welcome back. So this is Jeff. If you didn't know who this was before, you do now. um, so yeah, so this is great. So let's see, we got Citizen XRP is in. Welcome, welcome. We've got Dansky in. Hey guys, make sure you tweet this out. Do me a favor, that'd be awesome. If you're new to the stream, make sure you hit subscribe. If you enjoy the content as you bounce in, make sure you give it a thumbs up because that's awesome. So we're definitely looking forward to all the great things that are happening. Now, one of the big news items of the day, before we get into talking about email fraud, which we will, because I think it's really important to discuss such things. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about Coinbase staking. Now, it's interesting because one of the points that I bring up is that there's a blurring of the lines between the digital asset exchange and the banks, and as we move forward and you begin to see more and more mainstream adoption of the digital asset space, and people are moving into these exchanges. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm timing out. Oh, this can't be good. This cannot be good. This is not the time for a timeout. What in the world? I'm getting timed out by Google. Getting timed out by YouTube because everything is perfect. Are you guys seeing the timeout or is it just me? Huh. That's very not interesting. Everything is perfectly solid. And I'm getting a timeout. Your stream is acting. Really? Man. Come on. It just lagged. Is it lagging right now? It just stuck. On my end, it just stuck. Look at that. I think, let's see. No, we're back. All right, we're back. We're back. Anyhow. All right, so let's get into this. So back to Coinbase. So it's interesting because Coinbase getting into staking through Tezos, which one way or the other, whatever you want to think about, this XTZ token. I don't really know too much about the Tezos project. I probably need to understand it a little bit more in depth. But what I wanted to talk about really is that what we're seeing here with Coinbase, as we've seen with Uphold, as we've seen on staking their digital asset within the exchange. So Coinbase is definitely getting in, full into that. And what could this interest rate potentially be? Right now Coinbase already rolled out a 1.25% interest for any holdings on the USDC, which is a stable coin. And so as this progresses, I think it's interesting because as these exchanges want to become known more and more, about more and more about anyhow, I don't know. I just got sidetracked. I'm trying to read the notes and read this at the same time. But I think this is really powerful, overall. Now, with that, with what's going on with Coinbase, we see a lot of other exchanges. Last week, we did an interview with CoinField. You see what's going on with CoinField. They're getting their secondary project is Sologenic, where they're tokenizing securities, stocks. So more and more as we start seeing this utility kick in, and that's really what the name of the game is right now. It's about utility of the blockchain technology and utility of the possibilities and potential that is offered up through digital currency, through digital assets. We're starting to see, I think there was an article that was just posted regarding Tunisia, and Tunisia being the first to launch a digital currency through their central bank. I haven't delved into it enough to see if it's for real or, if it's just kind of surface, whether or not they've been working on it or, whatever the back end of it is, but what I do see is that we see a ton of news coming out of China, regarding the movement into the digital asset space. Now, what are some of the amazing things? Oh, what's going on here? All right, what are some of the amazing things other than, when we look at utility? Now, there's one company out there right now that is pushing forward with full utility of blockchain in probably one of the most in-demand spaces that we all know, which is cross-border payment, and that company is Ripple, and they're doing some outstanding things. Now, we all know that, that a few months back they acquired about 30% stake in MoneyGram, with a lot more on the table, potential buy-in of stock. Now, this is key because we also saw I want to call it a transfer. We saw a change of terminology. Now, as you get into and you think about terminology is probably one of the most sought after battles, regardless of where your focus is, whether it's in politics, whether it's in history, whether it's in finances, but terminology is meaningful, especially when it comes to marketing, understanding of a product, understanding of an objective. So what we're seeing is a change of terminology within the Ripple ecosystem, from X current, X rapid, X via, all the different X's, to on-demand liquidity. Think about the ramifications now and how easy it is to talk about ODL, how easy it is to talk about on-demand liquidity, and how easy it is to understand the definition and the meaning that's being portrayed by on-demand liquidity from a Main Street perspective, someone that's new to the space, a bank that doesn't know anything about digital asset or is afraid of it still, governments that might be afraid of it. When you talk about on-demand liquidity, instead of using terms like X current and X via and X rapid, and that has no meaning to them. Even RippleNet doesn't really have meaning to them. But you talk about on-demand liquidity, it's like boom, light bulb goes off and everybody knows what you're talking about. So to me, that was a very, very important and significant development that has occurred. Now, remember also that this is a marathon. We're not in a sprint here. Things take a lot, and really a lot goes into the development, especially from a financial perspective. We're talking about the transition of of companies, of banks, financial institutions that have spent decades working with Swift. Now you're talking about gaining this understanding, this comprehension of what the digital asset space is, what blockchain is, how it's truly applicable in real world utility. All of those variables are important, and all of that takes a long time to sink in, as we're seeing with governments. So governments, we see like with the U.S. government, obviously within Congress, it's taken them a long time to wrap their head around the significance of what this technology is and try to get away from all the fear mongering and all of that. Whereas you see other governments around the world that are embracing at the same time. Ripple is in it because they understand the marathon. They know it's not going to happen overnight. Investors need to understand it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time to develop. Whereas MoneyGram, look at what they've done in a short period of time. 10% of their transactions between Mexico and the U.S. are already utilizing the on-demand liquidity that's offered up through RippleNet. That's a big jump. And there have been statements on how much money they've already saved, the speed at which it's been happening. Look at this statement here. This is on Ripple, on the Ripple website. Oh, shoot, I'm not even sharing my screen. This whole time I thought I bounced over to share my screen. That's hilarious. So, anyhow, let me do that real quick. Hang on, where am I? Where am I here? All right, let me just transition. Let me share the screen real fast because I wanted to show you guys this article. You probably already saw it. This is Swell 2019, the MoneyGram article. But I think what's important that we're looking at here, look at this. The remittance industry has significantly evolved over the last 10 years due to increased competition in the space. What has amazed me the most is the amount of pressure that legacy players face, and that's 100% accurate, So the fundamental challenge of moving money around the world is that there isn't a lot of coordination between financial institutions, and there should be more solutions to connect all these pieces, and that is 100% the case. And so that's what we're seeing with ODL, with on-demand liquidity. That's exactly what is happening. That's exactly, how they're connecting all the dots. And then as you get more excitement about that. So here you have, and this isn't all about RippleNet and just rah, but you know what? They're making changes. They're significantly changing the way money is transferred, and it's exciting because there has been good news. Whether or not, Swell, whatever the outcome from that was, the fact that they're growing, they're adding more and more customers. These aren't customers like you and I. These are banks, and look at what we've seen. We have also seen 10-time year-over-year growth in transactions. So not only are they adding more customers, but they've increased transactions by a multiplier of 10 times. I mean, that's amazing. Global network of banks, financial institutions, payment providers. So there's a lot going on. Are they all working on ODL? They're going to be all working on ODL. Are they all utilizing XRP? Maybe not yet. MoneyGram is. So there have been more than 7 times the number of transactions using ODL from the end of Q1 to the end of October. So you're talking about a relatively short period of time. They've increased the number of those utilizing on-demand liquidity, and that's huge. That's super, super important. So and then as we move from there, I wanted to get into and talk a little bit about what's going on in the UK. Then I'm going to turn to the chat, and then I'm going to go. Let me look at these questions here in a second. Let me just go through this, and I'll bounce back over into some of these questions. Hang on. Okay, this is a good question. What is that? Can Ripple the company survive without XRP? Sorry for the noob question. Is XRP really meaningful to them? Anybody? In reality, yes, they can survive without XRP, and XRP can survive without them. If you look at where Ripple was, and now you've seen this change in terminology. So, Pavitra, I'm glad that you asked that question. Glad that you're here for the stream. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the sub button, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up. But yes, the two are operative without one another. So XRP as a digital asset token can survive and exist for the long term without Ripple. Ripple can survive without them. However, If you look at the RippleNet solution, which was a trio of platforms, you had Xcurrent, which was more of their Swift competitive product through a messaging type platform, but more efficient, more transparent, less costly. The game changer in the RippleNet, the game changer in the on-demand liquidity is the utilization of liquidity through the digital asset XRP. That was and is the game changer of their solution that will revolutionize transfer of payment cross borders. Can you do it without it? Of course, because people have been doing it without, for decades. Ripple has proved that they can do without it, just utilizing Xcurrent. But if you try to put Xcurrent against Swift, is the difference, the distinguishing difference between Xcurrent and Swift enough for customers to flock to them in mass? Maybe yes, maybe no. You can argue those points side by side from a sales perspective. However, when you input X Rapid, now obviously it's all on-demand liquidity, but when you input the digital asset, when you input XRP into the equation, it changes the entire conversation, a conversation that Swift can't have, that Swift isn't doing at this point, even though they've tried. So that's the game changer. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. And hopefully, if you have a follow-up question, definitely make sure you throw in additional questions here. DNI, what's up? We got Carl Lewis, the jokester here, and we got AJ tuning in all the way from Canada. I don't know how he does it. I really don't know how he tunes in all the way from Canada. But who else is bounced in? So got George Pacheco that just bounced in here. Annalise George, whoa, good to see you on. Haven't seen you here for a while. We got Citizen XRP, Texas XRP. We got Brady on here. Banked Peterson. We got all sorts of people bouncing in. It's awesome. Denver the Amazer. Got a lot of people on. That's awesome. Great to see everybody here. If you're new to the stream, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. And for all those, make sure that you hit the bell notifier if you want to be notified every time we live stream. Just a little bit of a plug. Terrence Gould all the way in from Thailand. What's up? So just a little bit of a plug. Let me bounce back to full screen mode. Then we're going to go back. We'll talk about the UK thing here in a minute. Let's see here. Fade. There we go. I need another monitor to do this. That you guys are seeing the magic behind the operation with all of that. So I just want to talk a little bit about and plug onthechain.io. So go check it out. Go check out onthechain.io. If someone, Chip, if you're there, if someone wants you to just drop in a link to onthechain.io, that'd be cool. Onthechain.io, you'll find a list of content contributors to onthechain.io. You'll also notice that we have multiple methods of watching and interacting with the content. You can go to YouTube. We have two different YouTube channels. One that you're watching right now, which is our YouTube live stream, and our longer videos. Our interviews are on here, just like you saw the interview we did with Reza Bashash from Coinfield. You'll also see an interview next week with the CEO of Blockdrive. That'll be on here. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be starting out a new series on which will appear on the chain. That new series is the Round Table. And so we're going to have two guests with us. The round table will typically be Chip and I, but we have two new guests. We have Eagle, who has his own channel, Blockchain Monkeys. And on the chain, it is called Altcoins in the Wild. And then we're also going to be joined tomorrow night by Brady Niels. And so definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be awesome. Let's see. 5:30 a.m. on the West Coast. Awesome. Glad you got up then. That's fantastic. Carl, yeah, there's spiders crawling up on all my walls. So you should see outside the door. I hose it down. Spiders appear from everywhere. Then we got the lizards running around, and there's probably lizards on the wall too if I look behind me. So Fantastic. All right, let's bounce back. Let's go look at what's going on with the UK real quick. Uh, so this is interesting. This is we're starting to see more and more of this government level involvement to really get actively involved in the digital asset space, regulatory clarity, understanding that it's here for the long haul. You have a lot of the naysayers out there, like the Shermanator out in California. So you have a lot of those things going on, but you still have a lot going on within Congress trying to push it through. But the UK also, and this was also an article over here on Ripple. UK Financial Conduct Authority provides a role model for digital asset regulation. So what's really key about things like this occurring? So you could say, hey, you know what? This is happening over in the UK, but this won't have any impact on anybody else. But it really does, because once they set that precedent in a country, within the banking, within government, within the central banks, whatever it might be, it resonates globally. So just like we talked about, we did that video on Bermuda. Also very important, very critical to see what they're doing in Bermuda. But here, so we get through this whole article. Let's see. RippleNet was addressed to address the exact challenge. It speeds up transactions, instant settlement, provides complete transparency, eliminates the need for pre-funded accounts. RippleNet's ODL, their on-demand liquidity, uses digital asset XRP as a bridge currency to facilitate fiat currency transactions and deliver these to scale. But realizing this promise is challenging, and this is the key, without effective framework and guidance on the use of digital asset. So as much as Ripple is fired up about their technology and what they're doing and what they can do, look at this amazing, critical statement that they put in this article. But realizing this promise that they rolled out with RippleNet, just like we were explaining to just a little while ago. But here we have, this is so important. So they want guidance. They need guidance. Without guidance, everything, they're operating on and walking on eggshells, and we just don't know what's going to happen. What's up, SPF? What's up, Bubba? I didn't see you guys come in. Mike Smith, what's up? What have we learned from Swell? It's definitely Swell. That's what. But anyway, so they really point out. Fortunately, a new effort announced by the UK Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA. This was back in July, to mirror basketball's collective appeal and clarity for digital assets. Okay, but whatever. So here's what's important. It attempts to definitively classify digital assets and provide companies with a clear understanding of whether they will need to be regulated and how to become compliant. Because as we know, we're nations of laws. We're nations of financial law. Everything has to operate within that legal framework, within that legal structure. Without that, obviously, there's definitely some potential issue. But it's important that we definitely see regulatory clarity kicking in. The fact that the UK is working through it. We see the U.S. government kind of tripping over themselves and dragging their feet. But that's just how it goes. George. Good morning, Jeff. Sorry, no saying nothing. Top of the morning to you, my friend from Paris, France. Nice. Welcome all the way in from Paris. Appreciate that. AJ, yeah, man. It took a lot of Mr. Clean. We hired Mr. Clean actually to make sure that we keep the space spick and span. That's definitely a good part of it. So, all right, let me fade back over here. All right, so let me go down here. I don't have my other laptop set up. Don't have my second monitor set up. I'm going to turn to the phone again. Let's see who we've got coming in. Any comments, questions? I'm just going to scroll up and see what kind of feedback we've got here. So Pavitra, yeah, saying to responding to DNI, once regulation clarity kicks in, India will be. Man, are you tuning in from India? Man, I love that. I love that statement. Dude, I've been to India so many times. I've worked over there, did a lot over in India. And every time I went over to India, I saw amazing things. So what I saw over in India was that they were embracing development, and their focus for developing their infrastructure, their focus for growing their economy was unbelievable, and so there's obviously been some setbacks. And actually, I was reading an article, that just came out from the IMF regarding needing more financial transparency from India, from the government of India. And that's one of the definite obstacles, as Pavitra is even mentioning, over here. One of the big obstacles is regulation and regulatory clarity and transparency in India. India, without a doubt, 100% is untapped. I mean, it's unbelievable the potential and possibilities of what can occur over in India when they open up the tap. 1.2, 1.3 billion people over in India, and high tech is booming over there. The need for digital asset, digital currency, the need for a place to invest outside of the rupee. And Pavitra, it's interesting. I've told this story before, but as we go back a number of years, I actually started. We're doing a ton of transactions over in India, and we're shipping big product and big equipment, and it was crazy because deals would get delayed primarily because of the exchange of the rupee, and the exchange of the rupee would cause huge swings in the price of the product because of the valuation of the rupee. And I started looking around, whether it was for India, whether it was for customers in Latin America that simply couldn't get US dollar to transact and had to get approval through their governments in order to get US dollars, and it was very difficult. So the important part is that I started looking for alternate solutions, found Bitcoin at that time, wished I would have invested in Bitcoin at that point when it was around $750, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. There's no regulation. I don't think customers are going to want to use it. Even though at that time it would have been an amazing solution to try to embrace something, with it at that point. That was years ago. So it's just so interesting. I want to say probably like 2013, 2014, whenever the price point was in that $700 range is when I started really looking into. Might have been a little lower, but man, yeah, Citizen XRP. India is going to put such a dent in the market. It's going to be unreal when they finally get over it. But what's holding it up, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but my observation is there's too much corruption, too much fraud going on in India that at this point within the higher levels of government and central bank is actually preventing this, and is one of the reasons why they pushed to really try to outlaw digital asset and shut down the exchanges, because they saw it as a direct competition to the central bank and the government, and also too easily as a revelation of their through their lack of transparency, the corruption that takes place on a daily basis. I saw it firsthand, how fiat, how money was exchanged within government and within customs to make things happen. I was really amazed when I sat with one of my clients looking at how he came up with his price points and how much money he set aside to bribe different officials. I was shocked. I said, "Is this how you guys do business over here?" And they don't call it bribes. He said, "No, you gotta pay the guy in customs, because then he's gonna make sure that your product goes through without opening it. Then you gotta pay the guy who's trucking it. You gotta pay the guy on the inch of." There are all these along the way. There are all these people that they're paying in fiat currency, and so it's just really, really interesting. But that's just the way of life. So. Yeah, Dan. So Italy, Portugal, there's so many countries that are just all in on this because they understand that right now is a pivotal moment. I was listening to, I can't. It was from the Swell Conference when they were streaming it live. They were talking specifically about this topic, and it was so interesting because they were talking about the U.S. Involvement in developing the internet. Obviously, the U.S. took a lead role. It came through government, through military, universities, expanded into private. So the U.S. was already in a position to be a dominant player in the internet space, the internet boom and the craze. But now other countries are seeing the possibilities and potential, and they're taking that giant leap forward faster than anybody else, first mover advantage. So they talked about Switzerland, they talked about Liechtenstein. We've talked about Italy. We just mentioned the UK. There's so much going on. Countries are seeing it. We've talked about Bermuda. We've talked about the Marshall Islands. There's all these countries that see the vision of what digital asset and digital currency is going to be in the future, and that is, just really, really amazing. But open it up. Allow people the opportunity to do great things, and they will. And that's what's unbelievable. Transparency, transparency, transparency. So what do we got here? SPF. We're going to be paying in dinar soon. Another walled garden for XRP to bridge. The dinar, that is, you've got stuff going out over in Dubai. So Dubai wants to embrace. Tunisia is talking about, obviously, maybe or maybe not embraced. I don't know. I'll have to dig in a little deeper. There's so much going on right now. It's awesome. So fantastic. So let me make a little bit of a turn here because I think this is interesting. But hang on. Chucky Loco. I'll go to somewhere warm. Liechtenstein is too cold for me. Liechtenstein is probably definitely cold, being that it's up there in the Swiss, Austria region. So yeah, I'm sure it's still cold over there. So if you want warmth, you got to go to Thailand with DNI. But DNI, hopefully you have a big enough compound. Or maybe, DNI, you need to start looking for a big enough compound, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, you know what? I want to come over to Thailand. And could you imagine if you can establish an XRP compound over in Thailand, that would be pretty amazing. So maybe that's an idea. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. So, all right, here we go. So here's the next topic. I'm trying to read these funny comments. All right, so anyhow, let's jump into this next topic. I want to talk about this. I want to get some feedback on this. I think it's important. I think something happened within the community at large that has ramification that goes well beyond simple emails. And I want to talk about fraud. I want to talk about email fraud. I want to talk about what that means on its face. I'm not an attorney. I'm not providing legal advice. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I just want to talk about the ramifications of what happened recently to an individual. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not taking sides in this. I'm talking about the impact that this is going to cause, or had the potential of causing. Now, when we talk about fraud, let me pull this up. I opened it up here someplace. I want to read the definition of fraud, and I think this is really important because a fraud did occur, and I think that when we realize what the fraud was, this person that committed it, or the persons that committed it, need to be removed swiftly from within the community. That's my statement, and now we're going to get into it. Fraud is a broad legal term referring to dishonest acts that intentionally use deception to illegally deprive another person or entity of money, property, or legal rights. Unlike the crime of theft, which involves the taking of something of value through force or stealth, fraud relies on the use of intentional misrepresentation of fact to accomplish the taking. Now, this fraudulent taking could also be the intent to cause a person harm. It doesn't always mean that it's the intent to rob somebody or steal from somebody. However, again, here's a takeaway. I'm reading definitions here. This isn't coming from my brain. Fraud is the intentional use of false or misleading information in an attempt to illegally deprive another person or entity of money, property, or legal rights. In order to constitute fraud, the party making the false statement must know or believe that it is untrue or incorrect and intended to deceive the other party. Fraud may be prosecuted as both a criminal and a civil offense. Criminal punishments for fraud can include a combination of prison, fines, and restitution to victims. Now, the proof of fraud is difficult if you go through it. However, if you are utilizing any form of electronic means within the fraudulent act, misrepresenting an individual, misrepresenting a company, and you are putting that out via electronic means, whether that is via a fax back in the day, via email, there are also breaches of FCC compliance, and within that fraud that then becomes a federal offense. It's not just it could potentially go to the level of a federal offense. Now, if there is proof that fraud was perpetrated intentionally to injure another individual, that could then be a civil case potentially. I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I'm just reading into it. However, it is pretty straightforward on its face what fraud is. Now, whether or not this rises to the level of criminality, regardless of whether or not this rises to the level of a civil case, there was a fraud that was perpetrated, and this fraud has ramification beyond just the individual that was harmed by this. So the individual that's out there, whether you're listening or whether you get this feedback, what you did was 100% wrong. What you did, again, I'm not an attorney. They let an attorney and a judge make that decision. What you did has the potential of being criminal or civil offense. You sent a fraudulent email with malicious intent to cause financial and emotional the line, and it's a red line that nobody should cross. Now, the point being is that with this malicious intent, which is 100% proven based on the emails that were sent and the emails that were circulated, there's proof already that there was malicious intent, and there was also a fraudulent use of and spoofing of a company and an individual's name that was then put on this email that was sent out to this individual. Now, again, regardless of what your feelings may or may not be on this individual, the point is, the ramification and the potential harm that this has caused to the community, the potential harm and tarnishing of reputation that this could cause to the company of which you utilized and you spoofed the name of the company and you spoofed the name of the individual who works with the company, goes beyond a red line that is unimaginable. Unimaginable. Your actions have caused direct damage to an individual. Your actions have caused direct financial damage to that individual. They've caused direct emotional damage to that individual. Your actions have caused emotional and irreputable damage to the community as a whole, and again, potentially tarnishing the reputation of Ripple, the company, by falsely portraying for what you did. Now, that's my statement. Now, your action was immature. Your action was 100% unacceptable. The only person in the community that did the right thing, the only person in the community that stepped up was Crypto Eddie. The only one. He was the only one. There were individuals on the ground, Brad Cryptonaire Kimes, Mr. B, DAI. I don't know if Mr. B or DAI knew anything about it, but Brad Cryptonaire Kimes did know about it. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. To me, the actions are pathetic. I think that you need to be an effing mensch, and you got to step the F up to help somebody, playa, instead of just making fun of the individual when they're on the ground. Somebody's in a foreign country. Somebody is jeopardized being in a foreign country, in a place that they're not comfortable being in. And what happens? They get made fun of. So again, regardless of what your opinions are, regardless of what your thoughts are, whoever did this is unbelievable in their act. They're unbelievable in their intention. And I believe, and I'm going to put a call to action out there to out that individual that did it, and remove them in every way, shape, and form from this community, to the point that if they are on YouTube, if they're on Twitter, those accounts need to be terminated and those accounts need to be shut down. And again, if this raises to the level of of Ripple going after you as an individual for the actions that you took, so be it. So those are my thoughts. Again, regardless of what you think about either of the players on either side of this case, whatever the facts were behind it, this has this has gone so far beyond, and the ramification, of this fraud that was committed is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And nobody's saying it. I had to say it. It's been it's been weighing on me, since I saw it. And it's really, really, unbelievable. AJ, no, they didn't get financial gain. However, the fraud, the spoofing, was in the fact that they utilized somebody's identity, and they also entered into this to intentionally defraud the individual into believing that they received something that they didn't, by representing a company and an individual within a company, with the possibility of that individual having to go to a foreign country. It's unbelievable. So again, I'm not standing up for anybody. I'm not doing anything, but I think that I think it's crazy. So yeah, well, that's another point. So SW, good point. We don't know he didn't make it up. Where's the proof? That's another good point. So my point is that, whether or not, whoever did it. So imagine if it was an individual that did it to himself. Imagine it's, somebody coming from, somewhere else. I'm not taking sides in this one way or the other. My point is that there was a fraud that was perpetrated to the community that needs to be. This is the part that fraud requires the guilty party to gain financially. I mentioned that. That's why I'm saying, from that perspective, the fraud is to the community. I don't know if it rises to the level of a civil offense or a criminal offense. The fraud is on the community. The fraud is what happened here. Whether or not it was someone else, or SW brings up a point, was it that individual that did it? I don't know. But you know what? It can be found out. And so, eventually, the truth will come out. I just want to thank King Blue throughout two tips over here. I really appreciate that. Let me scroll back up. I was kind of in the moment. King Blue's first. Some nasty people that continue to split the community. Thanks for calling it out. The second one here. Let me see what your statement was here. We'll be driving efforts to bring the culprits to justice. Thank you. Well, there you go. So I think that, so it's very, very negative. Stephen Chip said, David Schwartz mentioned that he was there. He was definitely there. But AJ, my point in all of this, I'm not stating legal action. I'm specifically stating the fraud that was committed to the community. Again, my point was, is that it has, whether or not it's a civil offense or a criminal offense, that's up to an attorney to decide and a judge to decide. That's not for me to decide because I have no idea. However, something happened, and that's what we know, and it was negative, and that's it. So, Nick Black, I really think that the Ripple company basically trolled the XRP community and YouTubers with those invites. Seems pretty clear that Ripple was clowning those YouTubers, placating them with nonsense. That's a statement. Nick, that's a pretty big statement. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Spanish Fly, stolen identity using the employee's name. Yes. Spoofing an email. So the intent there. So whether, again, as SW brought it up, because I'm not neither attorney nor judge, nor jury. However, the problem being, if it was the individual doing it to themselves, that should be the icing on the cake, to shut somebody down. If it is not the individual themselves and it's somebody else that's doing it, imagine the ramification. So there's no reason, for someone to go through that entire process of, positioning themselves in a negative light. I don't know. Again, I'm bringing up the specifics, the facts to the case that we're seeing, that kind of unfolded in front of us, and that's it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, everybody can decide for themselves. I'm just laying it out there to have everybody discuss. David D. Sorry, just joined. I'm not an advocate of CKJ and his disinformation, but what was done was next level wrong. Wait, just bounced here. Next level one. No one deserves that. I agree. So there's people definitely within the community. I'm not going to, whatever. I mean, it just, everybody can decide for themselves who they follow, don't follow, listen to, don't listen to, whatever. That's up to you. I just think it was out of control. But XRP Venture, man, what's up, man? Loving your videos. You, sir, are a class act, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate your feedback. And let's see, SW is apparently a Yahoo email that it came on. Yes, it was. So there's a lot there. So, SW brought up another point with that. Yes, it's a Yahoo email, but still, either way, you're misrepresenting, and that's the problem. Regardless, if what level it elevated to. Again, the fraud, what's upsetting me the most about all of this, again, whether it's a criminal or a civil offense, I don't know. Again, that's not my take on it. What upsets me is that it's happening within a community, within a digital asset community, within the cryptocurrency community, and that has gone next level beyond anything. And that's basically what David D is saying, that it's totally next level, regardless if you like the person, don't like, you agree with them, don't agree with them, whatever the case might be. That's not something that you do, and it's just beyond, it's just so beyond. So let's see. Yeah, King Blue, AJ, reach out to King Blue. If you want to get more info, X marks the spot. Reach out to him as well. So I think that's important. I think you guys need to reach out. I think you can't rely on, and this is a major issue. This is a major issue that is going on beyond what we're looking at right here. And this is what got me so fueled up about it, because I deal with crap like this. From a political perspective, I see it happening. I see things like this unfolding. I see things. Anyhow, it doesn't have a place here. The point is, you can't make an opinion based off of what you read on Twitter. You can't make an opinion based off of a subheading. You can't make an opinion based on what somebody else on YouTube says or doesn't say. You need to make your opinions based on DYOR. Do your own research, whether it's a financial investment, whether it's a political decision, or whether it's a decision on somebody's action, right or wrong. Do your own research. Make sure you get all the facts, and don't listen to other people and let them, sway your opinion on the matter. Make sure you investigate a little further, collect as much data, collect as much information as you can before that act. That's the most important thing. Bob Moneybags. Oh, we're going back to this one again. My personal opinion is that Ripple invited the YouTubers for their free marketing. Think about how much a suite costs. Yep, and drop of water. Exactly. That's a great point, Bob, and I agree. I kind of agree with that. I think they invite them over. It's definitely free marketing. It's easy. Definitely easy to bring somebody over, set them up in a hotel, whatever. It's definitely a net positive for a company like RippleNet. Unless there's a net negative, which is what just happened, which, they probably didn't anticipate, but definitely blew up in people's faces, So, Citizen XRP, he was seen in Singapore, but to take a trip to Singapore on the whim of an unverified invite. Hey, I'm not saying, so it's from Yahoo, whatever. If it was me, if I was in that position, I already have a passport and it's got lots of stamps in it, and I travel a lot, but either way, regardless of that, that's me because I know. But yes, I would look at the email. I would make sure it was legit. I would reach out and find if there's, a phone number to call. I would find out if there's, a way to investigate. I would make sure I call the hotel in advance. I'd make sure that I have an international phone. I'd make sure there's a whole list of things I would make sure of. And so were it me, I wouldn't act on it. I would make sure that I had all the different pieces of the puzzle put together. That's me. I'm not the one that it happened to. It happened to somebody else. That person isn't a traveler, hasn't traveled, didn't have a passport, didn't know what they were getting into. That going into it. So that individual did what they did based on belief. And based on maybe the naivete of not, digging into the information a little bit further. So is there fault to go around? Of course. There's definitely fault to go around because, yes, it came from a Yahoo email. That's number one. I get a lot of different emails that are interesting that look like they come from .edus that are falsified. And there's a lot of email fraud and spoofing going on out there, that you got to pay attention to, but that's key. That there's so much to it. It's kind of crazy. AJ, okay, you guys figure it out amongst yourselves. There's two sides to every story. You need to look at all sides of the story. Don't point the fingers. Definitely have a conversation and figure it out. 179 Kevin, we really don't know what the true story is. Did he fake it or was it a fraud? I don't know, but that needs to be found out. I do know that he said on his channel he'll be at Swell with an invite. I don't really watch his channel that often, so I don't know if he said it or not. However, he was there. I saw the video. I saw him walk up to the Swell sign. I saw him on the grounds. So he was definitely there 100%. Nick Black, Nick Black, CKJ is an idiot, but certainly not that moronic to spoof his own fake tickets and show up, assuming they'll just let him in. I don't know. That's your comment. Jack's Crypto, is CKJ in trouble again? DNI, if CKJ really was invited to Swell by Ripple, he would have made a huge deal about it on the channel. He wasn't defrauded and, in fact, had a pity party live stream and profited by super chats. DNI, I don't know. I don't know what the facts are. I don't know. If he did that to himself, that reaches a different level. If it's from somebody else, it reaches a different level. My whole point with this, and I'm glad everyone's talking about it because that was my intent. I think it's really critical that, people have a conversation about this, within the community and a positive community and hash it out because one way or the other, a resolution has to be come to, and again, if an individual did it to himself, then I agree, DNI. If someone else was the actor, then that person needs to take the brunt of it. So you guys are bringing up great points. I'm glad you guys are bringing these points up. This is discourse. This is how you do it. You don't just jump on and start pointing fingers at one individual or another. But you need to have discourse. We need to see, how people act and everything else. Now, here's something else, and I'm going to put my opinion on this. I don't have all the facts. I looked at it on its face. SW, this is to your point that CKJ defrauded a charity, and I believe Chip will back this up when I say this. But for the blame of the individuals for what happened on a stream or didn't happen on a stream of certain super chat funds that were supposed to be given to a charity, the fault is on everybody, 100%. And the reason why the fault would be on everybody is A, if you're donating to a charity, donate to the charity. Number one. If you want to make sure your funds, I don't care if you're giving $1 or $1,000, if you want your money to go to the charity, don't give your money to somebody else that's then going to donate it to the charity. Number one on the list. That's rule number one. Rule number two on the list is send your money directly to the charity and don't rely on somebody else to send your money for you to that charity. Now, if that individual is saying that I'm going to donate all the proceeds that you give me, that I get on my show or whatever for today, I'm donating 100% of them to charity, then it's on him, to donate 100% of those proceeds. But again, if your intent was to give the money to go to the charity, you see where I'm going with that? Now, at the same time, if there's certain monies that are supposed to go, certain monies that weren't supposed to go, have you guys ever dug through a super chat and tried to figure out where the money came from? And there's a 30-day lag between receipt of the super chat, and then go back to this perspective of, from an accounting nightmare, an accounting perspective, to try to track whether it's XRP, whether it's super chat funds, whatever it is. Imagine the accounting nightmare of an individual trying to manage that. Unless you're saying I'm giving 100% and it's added up at the end of the night, boom, 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 I know it's $100, boom, I'm sending $100 to the charity. That's it. No questions asked. But if you have to try to dig into it, and again, I don't, it's a disaster. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. Now imagine an individual that isn't computer savvy, that might not be the smartest individual, that might not have any accounting knowledge whatsoever, that might not be using any type of accounting software to track anything, might not even be able to manage his own funds. Who knows? Why in the world, again, this goes back to personal fault and personal responsibility. Knowing all of that, why would anybody give money to somebody to then donate in their name is beyond me, because I wouldn't do it. That's me. We have King Blue in here. King Blue's done, he raised a ton of money for St. Jude's, a ton of XRP. If I was to, give money, I would say, hey, King Blue, can I send it to, where's the charity I can send it to? That's me. That's what I would do. And that's it, So I just think that's pretty straightforward, I don't know. There's just too much going on. So now, as we go back through this, man, I'm sorry, guys. I lost complete track of the flow of the conversation. George Pacheco, Jeff, what you say, he did the same thing to XRP Angel Connie in a meetup, told her to sleep in her car. Don't know what happened, but feel, if that's the case, I don't know. If that's the case, if that happened, yes, but you still have two wrongs don't make a right. So again, my point is, if it's another individual that did it, that person needs to step up and face the fire. If it's the individual that did it, then that person's going to have to face the fire. And if there's a litany of issues behind that individual, then it all adds up. You can add up the facts. Boom, there was 1, 2, 3, 4. There are all these points that added up, and everybody can then see, what? There's poison in the community, and you got to take care of it. And that's the point. But two wrongs don't make a right. Two wrongs don't nullify one another. It doesn't work that way. It works that way in math, but it's not, you're not going to do that in reality, especially going to that level. Again, regardless how you feel about that person, wasn't the right thing to do. Definitely negative, definitely bad. I think that's all. I don't want to cause any other chaos within the community. But I thought that it had to be said. I think it's important, and that's really it. Jack's crypto. This is stupid. All right, you're out. That's awesome. Great. King Blue, exactly right. Always best to send direct. The Connie story is complete fabrication. Connie admitted it to me on the phone. I don't know. All right, I'm not going to go in that direction. AJ, Acid Conductor just summed it up perfectly. Two wrongs don't make it right. That's exact. So, yeah, DAC, exactly. So all the other stuff that comes out, you just gotta do your own research. Bottom line, is that you gotta do your own research. Make sure that you're doing things the right way, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and that's all it is. To me, though, again, my perspective on this is the damage that it does within a community to have these types of things going on and going on and going on, and so, that's kind of, chaos. So that's it. That's my take on it. That's my last comment on it. I just had to get it out there. It was just bothering me, for days and days now, and I don't want to. So that's it. DNI, one right doesn't erase a wrong either. No, it doesn't. But that's not the point. So, um, let's see. David D was not invited to sell intentionally. He's not credible or useful to Ripple for the body of work. Not Sam's video. CKG lacks self-awareness and financial acumen, yet misleads subs with bad info. Well, that's your decision to watch or not watch, an individual. Again, DYOR, make sure you do your own research. Don't listen to what other people say, because don't take my advice. I'm just giving you my opinion. That's all. I don't know. Why do I know any better than you guys? You guys are throwing up all the great comments in here. So that's the best part about it. I love what you guys said. I love you guys, the feedback, the comments, the involvement. You guys are all awesome. The community is awesome as a whole. We've got an amazing digital asset community. There's so much positive. Let's just focus on positive and get this out of here, and that's it. So, AJ, thank you for that, man. Really awesome. Thanks for, putting that up there. So, why follow someone you dislike? I like that, DAC. Exactly. So, X marks the spot. What's that? I can't see this. Let's see. GSG kicked your ass. So, kicked your ass out. I don't know what that is. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know what you guys are talking about. So anyhow, Bob, it's easy to get angry. Let's just what's that say? And agree to disagree. Exactly. And 1, 2, 3, done. Hey, I just want to bring up another point. Bob Moneybags, man, I said it in the stream. I don't know if I said it here. I might have said it here already. Man, you did an outstanding job putting together that interview with McAfee, with John McAfee, man. McAfee, man, that was fantastic. I think you really handled that extremely well. Kudos to you for doing that. That really elevates the game. That really changes the conversation. So it really, put things in perspective for me also, in terms of what we're doing, what kind of streams we want to do, what kind of videos we want to do. Really put that, watching it, doing the Coinfield video that we did this past week, and the McAfee video you did were just outstanding. I think you're bringing in, some of the thought-provoking individuals to really talk about what the digital community, the digital cryptocurrency, the blockchain community really means, man. That was awesome. And Bob, man, I still think it's hilarious, man. I still joke about that one, but first thing he said was, don't trust anybody whose name starts with the letter J. So I thought that was hilarious. But anyhow, man, glad all you guys showed up here. If there's anybody new to the stream, make sure you give a thumbs up. If you're not new to the stream, or anyone new to the stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If not, make sure you guys give a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation, etc. So you guys know the rest. Be fantastic. So I don't know what the hell that is, but I'm getting ready to wrap this up here. Again, it was great seeing a lot of you guys. Thank you for joining in here. We had a great chat today, I thought. And lots of great things coming up. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night on this channel, 8 p.m. We will be doing the roundtable discussion, and there's some great conversation that we're going to have, some great topics that Brady, that Eagle, that Chip, and I, we all come in with some interesting topics, and it's going to be a really thought-provoking conversation tomorrow night. So Until then, I'll check you guys out and have a fantastic weekend over here. I got to find my OBS and stop streaming. All right.